Hello, everyone, and welcome to RHAP's coverage of Australian Survivor Redemption. I'm your host, Shannon Guss, here to talk about episode 3. We are through week 1 of the season, and we switched things around this week because for episode 3, which was not a trader-centric episode, we have Pooya. Pooya, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It is very funny that we got switched around and this happened to be, it would have fit perfectly with the traders, but I'm happy to take a break from the traders here and talk Australian Survivor. So maybe it was a blessing in disguise for me.
Possibly the universe knew you needed a break. Your Survivor expertise would come in instead of the trader stuff.
The writing was on the wall when you and I did not clock that Mark had joined us to talk traders New Zealand on the draft. It was a sign that we didn't need to talk about it on again. Like it needed to be buried. So.
Yeah, there was so many connections and we missed all of them. So it wasn't meant to be. I thought a bit of a sleepier episode, literally the sleepier episode or not this week. What did you think about this episode?
I feel like it was sleepy, but the result was surprising for me. This is not somebody I expected to see leave early. And so seeing the chaos and the nightmare slowly dawn on me really was like a slow crash I couldn't turn away from. So that was brutal. But I still think there were some interesting bits and bobs there. I think for the first week, I think of the 3, this probably was the weaker episode, but I'm very happy that none of the boots to me have been foregone from early episode. I feel like the editing's done a good job of keep a bit of a nail biter all the way through.
Yeah, this one, I mean, look, it was so funny. Like, it was so sad. We love Eliza. She's a big fan of the podcast. And she's a kindred spirit. You know, sometimes you see someone on the show and you're like, if I ever played and I had to do contestant you are most like you're being added to the lexicon. And I think the fact that she was a third boot speaks to how that would go for me. We have a lot in common, Eliza and me. She was like, there was like one scene she's like playing with her hair and I look down and I'm like playing with my hair. Like, I'm like, we're so similar. But the difference, I respect sleep. And this was the through line of the entire episode, which was so funny and honestly so real from Lyndall. I mean, I didn't agree with the move, but she kept brought it up so many times that she'd been woken up. And this is very rare for Survivor, which often sleep shames. How dare you sleep while other people are looking for idols? We know Lyndall was looking for idols at night, so she doesn't necessarily need like her full 8 hours. But this was so funny to me that at even in her voting confessional, she was like, you woke me up and I'll never get past it. And I was like, real recognizes real, Lyndall. Like that is a deadly sin.
It's tough. Like, if you're going to wake me up, give me good news. Don't wake me up and give me bad news. Like, that's like the worst of both worlds. Cause now I can't go back to sleep. I've got bad news on the mind. So,
but don't wake me up and give me good news either. Do you think my child and I are going to get on? Because I've said this to, like, when Peter and I were dating, and he would never do this, but I was like, if you propose to me by like waking me up for some sort of early activity, I will say no. Like, I will not agree to a proposal before 11 a.m. And he knew that, and that's why I married him. But like, you know, I don't wake up for good or bad if I don't have to.
If you're gonna wake me up, like if it's a situation where you have good news and you want to share it with someone and I'm that person you want to share it with, and so you're gonna wake me up to share it with me, that's a very thoughtful thing. So I'm happy to be a part of your moment. So I'm very here for that. But I also think wake me up to then propose or do an activity. No, I'm of the mind of I like spontaneity if I have woken up on my own terms already, if I've had my coffee already. So you can't wake me up and be like, all right, let's go do this activity. Because nah, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I got told that my birth has been moved forward a couple of hours. I'm like literally giving birth to my child. And I think that the doctor was surprised at how badly we took that. I was like, oh, that's really early now. He was like, yeah, you're having a baby. I was like banking on a couple extra hours of sleep. But anyway, it's fine. I forgive the baby, even though, I don't love this.
I feel like you opened that discussion with, do you think me and my child will get on? So you're beefing your child already? Like, is this what I'm hearing?
No, not beef, but I'm like, well, now my birth has been moved up. Like, I'll never let her forget it. You know, it's going to be brought up at her wedding that I have to wake up at 5 a.m.
Please don't. Let the child live with it, please.
Her existence is going to be terrible. I think we all know, but anyway, this is the choice she made to be born into this family. But genuinely, the thing about this was that Eliza didn't come to Lyndall with good news, but it was actually necessary news. It actually was, she was trying to help. And even Eliza was like, I don't know if it's real, but it could start a conversation. It was real. Like, Lyndall's not in a great spot. She was out of the loop of this massive group that Harry is trying to do, and we can talk about. And had she taken that olive branch, like, I think something really could have possibly happened here. But instead, Lyndall is like, again, I get it in many ways, but I feel like that news was actually quite pertinent.
Yeah, I think that was factually what Eliza was doing, was helping out Lyndall. I think the sad reality of it is that Eliza seemed a little intense. Eliza woke up Lyndall from a sleep, and then I think ultimately, I'm pretty sure at one point we see Harry talk about how, okay, this 8-person thing isn't really panning out like that. So it wasn't as dire necessarily as Eliza had put it, but if anything, to me, I'm like, that's still, I don't care if an 8-person thing is like 70% there, but not all the way. That's still 8 people that I'm not a part of, and that would make me concerned for sure. I genuinely at that moment thought, are we about to see this idol come in clutch? I really thought it was going to come in clutch here, but nope, it was not to be.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like I have to criticize Lyndall for that, because I feel like Lyndall doesn't believe Eliza, and that is the wrong read. You know, like, and if Lyndall and Eliza is coming to her now, it feels like Eliza's not doing that in the right way. We know it's the middle of the night. We know that her, like, she's not loving the energy that Lyndall's not loving the energy that Eliza gives off. And a couple of people kind of said that in voting confessionals. Like, she wasn't vibing with people anyway. And if she was, then like more than Jackson would have stood up for her at the point where the vote comes for her. And even she says, like, we should start talking. And I was like, okay, well, there's not like a basis here, and that's the issue. And so maybe you can't blame Lyndall that much for being like, what? But had Lyndall believed it, and it was the truth, and it was coming from, I mean, third source information, but I think it was Jackson who had been there and kind of like sent that information. So had Lyndall believed that, I know I've been saying, like, don't be so aggressive in early Australian Survivor, but I feel like I hate Lyndall's spot right now. She does have an idol. And if she had the correct information, or she believed the information, which was correct, she has Loz. Loz's name is often out there. We know that they found the idol together, so there must be a connection there. Eliza's coming to her. Eliza definitely has Jackson. Rich, all these people are voting for each other. But if Rich's name is always out there, there have been enough targets put out that they could come together. That's already 5 of 11. You get Lottie over to take out a Harry. Like, there are possible options here. If Lyndall doesn't want to do it, if she thinks, hey, I have an idol for later, I have options later, I can get myself out of this, I don't need to rock the boat so much, I completely feel that's fine. However, that's not why she's making the decision. She's making the decision because she thinks she's not at the bottom. I feel like she has a bad kind of read on names that are being put out. And maybe that is just from a couple of people like a Harry, but there's enough people there that are leaving her out that I would be concerned, and I would be trying to take a shot at someone like Harry, who didn't, include her in an alliance that was almost the entire tribe.
A couple of things with that, though. I think that fake it till you make it is a legitimate strategy in these shows. I feel like exuding that level of confidence can get you where you want to go. Like, it legitimately can. And we literally watched her do this because I think having the wrong read empowers her to move with a little more confidence and allows her to, very seamlessly survive and not have a vote, not have anyone be looking at her really. I think that lands her fine. I think the other thing for me personally is, if I'm in her shoes, if I'm in Lyndall's shoes, I do not want to spend so much capital early on to try and wrangle 6 votes to get out a returning player. Because in the event that I fail, one of my allies leaves, or someone I'm working with leaves, and then I'm now the next one guaranteed. And obviously, when you have the idol, you get another stay of execution. But then now I have to play the idol, and now I'm double targeted. I think that I'm not mad at a situation of, all right, let's cut Eliza here. Eliza goes. I will use this next cycle, these next couple of days to find my spot here in everything and go from there. I think that, and then, worst case scenario, I also have the idol in my hands also. I think if anything, there is a world where you see the way Eliza played as an ally. You're like, that was so intense that she woke me up and did, said ABCD.
Did wake up.
I can't play like that. If she does this with other people, they're going to find that sketchy. If we're associated, that's going to be sketchy. I think early doors, it makes sense to think of people like because I think having allies in this game, we've seen people have allies, and certainly Mark is talking about his former allies a lot this season, but we've seen people have allies that are long-term plans. I feel like not enough is said about allies that are genuinely for the short term. They are for the here and now until, it's between a couple of us. You can leave so I can figure out my long-term allies. And I feel like to Lyndall's game, Eliza seemed like a short-term ally, not a long-term one.
If that. I mean, but the thing for me is, look, I've spent the last 2 nights being like, just do nothing. You have to actively wreck your game at the point, to go out an early Australian survivor. Like, it's good to be passive. You have space, you have options. And I still think that. But for me, it comes down to a couple of things. The first one being, I'm not hearing that from Lyndall. Like, if Lyndall was like, I'm not in a great spot, but like, I bet I find time. I've got the resources of an idol, some allies, some space, a possible swap. Like, I'd rather just kind of survive for this part. I'd be like, that's fair. But I'm not hearing that. Like, I don't think she knows the position, and that's the main criticism. And then she doesn't have to, if she knew that, she, again, wouldn't have to make the group. But I do think it's because I'm really not loving her spot. I don't love that she and Loz are both options for people. And even though, yes, she gets the vote off Loz, I feel like she also, you never want to be names that are on the outs, which they both have been. And that's the strongest relationship I've seen her have. I mean, there's something really concrete on them finding the idol together. And yeah, I think Eliza, they're not vibing. I can see that. But beggars can't be choosers. Is she begging? I don't know. But again, there are other question marks around her positioning. So for someone like Eliza, who could bring in like a Jackson who's desperate to save an Eliza, I think that possibly wasn't a workable option she possibly needed to use. She just lost someone who cared enough to, while waking her, come to her with information she believed could be true, was true, to try and give her the heads up. And other people clearly weren't doing that. That's the thing that worries me, is like, Harry's putting it out there to clearly a lot of people. Where are the other allies to tell her that worrying thing if she doesn't know about it? So Eliza's actually done that, and she brings Jackson. Now, she actually thinks that one of the issues with voting out Eliza is that Jackson could then like go into Harry's pocket. And that's bad too. If she was saying to me like, well, Harry's about to cut off Jackson, which is a possibility and remains to be seen, which we can talk about and how Harry handles that. Maybe I'll get Jackson and I'll still have some options. Fine. And I do think that in reality, there is space, because this other quote unquote group, and I'm reticent to call things groups because this tribe is very hard to nail down on like who kind of sits where. It's kind of like a homogenous blob by design. But I do think that the other people can split. We see Lottie v. Harry. They both have their armies. Like, Harry's got Simon and Paula. Lottie's got Asha and Cameron. I think it can split. But again, how much is she banking on that realistically? She comes to me and she says, I have time, believe me, we'll be swing votes soon. I'd say, you do you. If you're reading it, good. I don't think that that's what she's thinking. If it's all based on the wrong read, I have to criticize it. And if it's the right read, we can definitely have a conversation. But I still think there's some merit there to doing something just based on where she sits.
Yeah, I can't imagine being in the position you are, where you are riding this high of swapping this idol out.
Yeah,
which by the way, that looked like the most stressful idol swap I've ever seen.
I was trying so hard to see what was happening there.
All I know is the minute Brooke whipped out the package with no hidden parchment, no hidden nothing, I was stressed. I was like, you're just holding it out in the open. Don't throw it my way, please. So I don't know. I don't know how exactly they made it work, but they did. But to ride that high, to now be like, okay, now I have my idol, I can use it. And immediately someone goes, well, we're on the outs, so let's see what's going on. I just feel like at that point you're looking for safety, and safety being your safety, not anybody else's. And I feel like that having the idol also helps that, because is there a world where, and I don't know how many players will play this way, but I imagine there's players out there where once they have an idol, they're almost looking at the game strictly 2 steps ahead, meaning, let me survive tonight with no idol. If I do, I have an idol for the next round. And then you kick the can down the road every round, where you're like, let me just survive tonight, because if I do, I have an idol that gets me 1 step further beyond that. Because if you're playing the game like that, Lyndall nailed it. Just push Eliza out, don't overthink it, and then see where you fit next, and kick the can down the road a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I think in this kind of homogenous group, like, and Eliza's getting blindsided again in this kind of mass group. And Jackson's getting blindsided. So that's the thing as well with someone like Jackson. If he knows that information, and he has a lot of information, Jackson actually, other than being blindsided here, had he had that final piece of the puzzle and cared enough to save Eliza, he's the one being actively told about these names on the bottom. Is he an active enough player to do anything about it? I don't know. Probably not the sense I get from him, but we're pretty early. But it just like from someone, if you're hearing about this blob, and there are so many targets of the blob. Like, this is what I think for Harry, like for all the names he's put out, maybe it's a credit to the read that they're not all going to work together and get it together. And they're actually like working against each other. But if you're putting out Lyndall, Rich, Eliza, they all have allies. Loz has been on the bottom. Again, you almost have a majority just in people who are clearly not in the core group, but they either don't believe it, don't know about the vote, or don't want to kind of get together to do anything about it. And again, I have been this whole week pretty on board with like be passive in early Australian Survivor. I do largely think that's true, but it's not like always be passive. It's just like, at what point does your spot justify making a move? And I do think for many of them, we are possibly past that point, and it's a very extreme point. Like, I really think you can afford to be passive, but that's when that's how kind of where I see the spots for some of these people who are on the quote unquote bottom.
Well, yeah, and I do agree with you there, because I do feel like the pathway I'm looking at again is a lot of ifs, ands, and buts. But then my question is, do we have to go and look at the messenger? Because we're talking about how Lyndall may have missed and had a horrible read, but was the message conveyed in the right way?
By Eliza?
Or yes.
I mean, definitely not, right? Like, and the messenger literally did get shot. That is extremely what just happened. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, how dare you wake me up in the middle of the night to deliver this news? Out with you.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was also the fact that, it's that whole energy that she was giving off. And Lyndall just wasn't vibing with it. That was really the issue, right?
Yeah, I mean, like that's how it felt to me. Yeah. It just felt a little too intense, a little too abrupt, and then ultimately the push happens.
Yeah, I think for Eliza, it's like she had the right idea, but with none of the capital to make it happen, and then like completely the wrong tact, which I kind of think was probably her whole vibe. Again, like I feel like she's a kindred spirit. So that was the issue. And the really tough thing about this tribe is they want to keep it homogenous. They want to keep it kumbaya as much as possible. They want to be this monolith that is going to like be able to beat this other fractured tribe, which is complicated for its own reasons, which we'll get into. But it just means that like the lowest hanging fruit at any given time is such an easy target. For Eliza, waking Lyndall up in the middle of the night was like her version of Daniel not remembering the names. These are things we'll remember, like the key sins that people committed, and that was enough. And but the thing as well is like that doesn't happen if you are socially integrated. Like Harry has a million reasons he actually wants to go for Lottie, but to Lottie's extreme credit, he cannot do it because she is so well connected, because she's so well insulated. And clearly Daniel didn't have that, and clearly Eliza didn't have that, and that's like the social game failing.
Yeah, I think, and I want to go back to the kumbaya of it all, because this tribe now is 2 for 2 on very jovial exits. One gave up a whole jacket, the other one thanked everybody for the blind side. And I think obviously as a fan makes sense, but part of me was like, no man, be mad, please be a little angry.
I know. Yeah. Well, I mean, look, they voted her out. They didn't wake her up. Okay. There are things that are worse than being taken out of the game. But what have you kind of felt about this season so far? If you're here on the previous episode, how's the week been?
I was unsure coming into this. Not about Australian Survivor. It always delivers. But, I really enjoyed Titans v Rebels. You already know this. And then last season, I was having a good time. But I do feel like by the end of it, I was tired. And I remembered feeling the tired, not the fun. And very quickly here, the fun came right back to me. And I've had a good time with it. I've been very surprised at how much power the returnees have had. I did feel like, not that I ever anticipate the returnees getting cooked immediately, but I just didn't anticipate the returnees having this much power within their tribes. Although it is fun that they're being clocked by the other players. I think that this cast has been very surprising to me. In that I think there's a lot of potential here. There's a lot of really fun characters. There's characters that were completely discounted in our draft who are flourishing, which I do love to see as well. But no, I've been having a good time with it. I've been having a very good time with it so far. And if you had made me do a boot list at the end of our draft, these three, one of them may have been on this list. The other two were nowhere near my early exits. So
yeah, well then I would say we would have drafted better, but actually all three boots are on Mike's team. I saw
is he shooting for the
called him
moon?
Mike Boom. Well, he's trying to get all 6 in a row.
Right.
His team's so bad. Mike Boom, because he's the grenade, because that counts. It's fine. He has 3 players left. He can still win. He can still have 2 of the final 3. It feels
Shannon,
unlikely. Yeah.
I'm gonna keep it real with you. At one point in the draft, you walked away and we all looked at each other and said the grenade doesn't count.
Yeah.
That being said, you don't have to worry about it because I don't think Mike's winning anyway. So
no, the podcasts are recorded. Like, I know that my StreamYard kicked me out. I went back and listened to what you said. Like, I can see that later.
Only one podcaster would go back and do that, and that's you. So I'm not surprised.
I just wanted to see what happened. And when you talk, like, other people, like, we're not just in a room now. Like, this is being recorded and published. So I can do that at any time, just letting you know. But I did show the draft teams to Peter, and like, Mike's team was terrible. Then Peter was he's like, you didn't draft well. He just said that to me. He just said that to my face. He's like, Pooya's team is the best by far, which is so irritating because you didn't even do any research.
Maybe that's the move. Maybe the stress was off. I wasn't concerned. I was like, what am I going to do? Mess up? I don't know anything. So that would make sense. And then I proceeded to draft an all-star team. Granted, maybe I didn't draft well. Maybe y'all drafted poorly.
Oh, both. It can definitely be both. I would really love to get your take on a couple of these returnees that you mentioned. So Harry, like, how do you feel? Harry is doing the mega alliance that we all laughed at with Jesse. Jesse wanted, and Jesse's like, I think like Jesse was just saying, to defend my winner pick Jesse from last year that no one remembers. He was just saying, like, at the merge we can protect each other. I think that's what maybe I'm giving grace, but he was like, if it's going to be kind of me or someone on the other tribe, like, it's a protection alliance. It didn't work, and no one liked Jesse, and that's the social capital that we talk about. No one liked that guy. No, I'm joking. I don't know. I don't remember Jesse, but I'm just saying that, like, Harry here is like, so should we be like a blob? And then he's like, it's hard because, you leave some people out and then everyone has different relationships with them. It's like, yes, there are complex individual relationships. That's why even though there's logic to, like, what if we're unified and they're not? It's like, but there's a reason everyone doesn't do that, because there are complex individual aspects of that won't work.
I feel like DH's game, Dirty Harry, has been very much one of, hey, I'm not trying to go out next. Let's kick a couple of people in forefront. So I see the vision with wanting to, slap together an 8 to make people feel secure enough to just ride with those names and vote those names out. I think in reality, it's hard to do that. And then it's hard not to feel like, because I also recognize that he's clearly not trying to rule with an iron fist. That's why the alliance isn't quite a locked in thing, because having 8 people and then being a little controlling even will make it look like you're trying to control the tribe. And that's going to very quickly go south. So he's kind of having his cake and eating it too by loosely having 8 people be involved without them being involved. And I think that's going to work for him a little bit. But again, he's one of the big names that has been clocked this early on. So I don't know if I'm seeing the longevity in Harry's game, but I'm seeing a fun path in Harry's game. So I'm happy about that.
I feel like Harry's doing a lot. Again, he's giving all the names that, to his credit, do not combine against him. Kind of. I'm like, what? Because he's telling me he like wants to keep his hands clean, but then he's giving all the names. In the first episode we saw, he kind of put out Rich's name, and then Lyndall took it. And didn't we see that he had a relationship with Lyndall in the first episode? Now it's coming back to me. I watched a lot of Survivor in the last few days. But I'm sure we saw that. Not a bad shout
to have an 8-person thing and then not have Lyndall be a part of it. Because then if Lyndall's like, hey, have you heard about this 8-person thing? No, I'm with you. Okay, and now he has 9 people.
I mean, look, and maybe we just spent 25 minutes talking about Lyndall's bad read, but she has her own relationship with Harry. He's saying no, not Lyndall, to cover it up. Now I'm in conspiracy theory mode. And she's like, now you're waking me up for something that I already knew he was going to do. And it was all a ruse and I'm in on it. That would be even more annoying. If that is the case, and now I'm giving so much grace, I think Harry can put her in an 8 to 9 person alliance. Like, I don't think he needs to put her like 10 on the 11 person totem pole. And Loz is like an actual target at a point. So I still think she has her concerns and should have her concerns. And I think that this is so hard, again, because like even groups I was saying that I thought in the first episode, it's really hard on this tribe. Like I thought maybe Eliza, because I saw one conversation with Cameron, and then he specifically in his vote was like, no. So it's a very, very hard dynamic by design from Harry mostly for us to discern, which is so irritating. That's one of the reasons I don't like it, just for my own personal reasons. But I think with Harry, like I think he's giving out so many names himself. I feel like he's taking a lot of heat for himself for no real reason, when I feel like he could let anyone do that. We saw Johnson yesterday was like so passionately leading this vote against Dawn. It's like, let Dawn vote himself out like Daniel did. Like, why do you have to take the reins so much? Like, sometimes I feel like you can just kind of coalesce on a name, and it probably will be that same person anyway, and it'll be kind of intuitive just by the group dynamics, and like it doesn't need you to like. And I praised Lottie for this in the first episode, but like, and then they felt a type of way about it. Like, I don't know if you need to shove that name down people's throats. Like, I think you can kind of just like effortlessly guide it or let someone else do it. So I'm kind of a little bit concerned about just how unsubtle it's being. Like, I feel like the tribe is good with the idea of like, we'll stay kumbaya, we'll have an easy vote. And then you say, okay, well, here's who I think the easy vote should be. And they're all going to have feelings about that person. And now you've kind of made it complex for yourself.
I think that early doors, if you are not looked at the heavy hand person and you get the results you want, that's kind of perfect, just because you don't, like, you're not looking to bring this credit up at the final tribal should you get there, right? Like, it's the second boot, it's the third boot, that doesn't matter. But I think if you
won't
are
remember
one
Pastor Dan? You think Lottie can't claim that in 45 days?
I legit paused to be like, who? And then realized it was the first boot. So
yeah,
that's on me. But here's the thing. I feel like if you're one of 4 returnees on the show with a reputation, especially looking at Harry, you know, on the brink of making it to the final tribal to plead your case, I feel like you are expected to play the game a certain way. And if you don't at least breadcrumb that a little bit, it'll look even more suspicious if you're too calm, too cool, too collected. So I think for him, being a little chaotic is not bad, because it kind of makes it look like, oh, that's the Harry I expected, versus I don't know who this man is. He hasn't spoken 4 words, but he just seems calm. And that's scary. That's terrifying. We need to get rid of him. If he's a little bit messy or he's a little bit out there involved and in the open, I think he can make allies. And I think also there's going to be people that think they can play him, because as things happen in these games, the minute someone starts looking a little bit like they're drowning, you're like, I'll keep them in by my grace. And now I'm in control. Little do you know, you've been set up for a trap real nice. So I think that I do like from Harry that there is a little bit more, it's a little sloppy, but I think that's a good thing. I think he needs, as a returner, you need to be a little bit sloppy, a little bit open, a little bit present, just so that people don't, especially when you have a reputation like him coming in, no one's going to forget you're there. So you might as well be not the opposite. You might as well be peacocking a little bit. You're in the open, you're clear, you're being looked at, but now you're going to get overlooked because you're so in the open. You're not a hidden snake. You're not a secret that needs to be addressed sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and I mean, look, the reason that he's being looked at isn't to do with how he's acting. It is to do with the fact that he is Dirty Harry. Like, he comes in being that person, and he can't deny that. Yeah. What he is doing is decoy voting so as not to upset Jackson on the Eliza vote. This was very cute for me. Jackson has, again, so much information. Harry told Jackson that they should go for Lottie. That could blow this thing wide open. Like, if he loses Jackson, the cards will start to fall. Like, the House of Cards is coming down, I think, because I mean, is Jackson that type of player? Again, remains to be seen. I can't say enough either way. But, like, that was his concern. Do you think he's getting away with this? Is this kind of insulting? Like, is there enough verifiable information to be like, that's a decoy vote? You just said you were driving the bus. You voted incorrectly.
I don't like. Are we saying that this is going to hurt or help his relationship with Jackson specifically?
Yeah. Was this too cute?
I don't think it's. I think it's fine because I think Jackson just lost his number one ally. I don't think Jackson's at liberty to be like, "You are not an authentic ally. That was fake." Jackson will take what he can get. I think even
Then
though
why even
Jackson
do it?
seems to be, I think that I think it shows weakness. I think you can play weakness off of this. I think that okay, so let's talk about you. We've already talked about this, but Harry has a big opponent in front of him, a rival, if you will, this season in the form
A
of
godmother.
Lottie. Yeah. And I think looking foolish, whether on purpose or not, I believe on purpose, is not a bad thing. It's not. Put people in the false sense of security. Oh, he didn't know? That's weird. Okay. Maybe we do have a better spot than him. Maybe he's not as aware as we thought he was. What an idiot. He switched his vote. What made him switch his vote? I think those are all fine. I think the only way this goes south is if Lottie and them look at this and go, wow, he's really trying to rope John, what's his name in?
Jackson.
Not Johnson.
Scott Green.
Jackson. Yeah. Jackson in. And that's not okay. That's not okay. We don't want that. We don't want him to have another ally here. So, but I think it could work.
I mean, he's trying to play off that what he didn't know about the vote. Verifiably untrue. You know, Jackson has been there when he's made an alliance without Eliza multiple times. Like, he wasn't driving the Eliza vote. But there's so many people, many of them who do not wish the best for Harry, who can verify that he was in on the vote. I think I kind of feel like I never understand how this works in terms of I cut off your ally, so now you're closer to me, because it's a horrible way to start a relationship. But if it is out of desperation, it does happen more than you would intuitively think that it's going to. But I think what could wreck that is like, Harry's playing you. Like, not only did he not tell you about the vote, he then voted wrong to try and get one over on you, and a million different people can tell you that he was in on it. You think he wasn't in this big Kumbaya alliance, that he's been the one parading without Eliza in it? There's just so much there, I think, that can come against him. Surely you vote against Eliza, then you go to Jackson and you do bring him in and say, look, Eliza wasn't helping your game. She was putting everyone off. She was an anchor. She woke people up in the middle of the night. They are, unforgivable. So surely there's a conversation to be had there and a relationship that could solve that better than something so inauthentic here that so many people could verify, I think.
Oh, mind you, this is my worst nightmare. Playing the game like this gives me hella stress. But also it's Dirty Harry. Does the man know anything but playing the stressful game? For all we know, no, that's not the case. He loves a little hard mode, this Harry. He does. So I think that if this starts a battle of he said, she said, oh, I'm accusing this person. Oh, absolutely not. I did not say that at all. This is very suspect. I think that that's still going to serve as good distraction for a player like Harry. I think he can, the whole divide and conquer thing is a sound idea, because if anyone's going to kick off about Harry, guess who's going to find out? Harry. So I think that and having gone through all these things, I think also something that is underreported with returnees, I don't really care. I mean, I guess a little bit of like, oh, they've played the game before. They know how the game works. That's one thing. I feel like they have played the game and know the psychology of the game. That matters more. And if Harry is in a situation where someone's accusing him and he's gaslighting them and being like, no, I didn't. I think some of these players are not ready for that psychological warfare. But someone like Harry, who's been knee deep in it before, this is another Tuesday to him. He doesn't care. He's going to be fine. So that's more intriguing to me, is that, and I don't know, again, I don't know how calculated any of this is with Harry, but I like to think that Harry knows what he has experienced and what others haven't, and making them experience it and trying to control it is a very Harry thing to me.
Well, the thing about Harry is that Harry actually, like, knowing him for the last almost 7 years, like, is a very rational, cool, calm, and collected person. Like, on a scale of who Harry can present as, on one end, like, he once invented a child. So we start there. On the other end, like, Harry is like my most like rational guest. I feel like he's like completely cool, like and like I played a whole ORG with him. Okay, he was nothing but a loving and supportive ally. So like I think there's this one kind of side, and then everything else is on that scale. And like, where is this decoy vote? You know, there's something on the scale which is like, let me put my hand up to be the split vote target. You know, that's kind of like stupid like a fox. Like that's kind of using the chaos for good in ways that make sense. And we've seen with the idols, and some of that might go a little bit too much to the fake child of it all. Like he brings out all of his chaos in pure game moves, seemingly on Survivor. And I don't think that like, as compared to like knowing someone like George is a chaotic person all the time. Like that I can tell you for free. Like it's not like a golden god shtick. Like that is who he is. So like with Harry, it's just like this gameplay. But he is like, I think compared to Simon, who I said is like, he can be very excitable and stuff. Like Harry is, you know, he got the toothpick. Like he's so cool. And then he has these like kind of big move ideas, and that's how it's expressed. And I kind of feel like this decoy vote to me is not it. It's not like I don't feel like that's a good part of the spectrum. But I love the papaya stuff. I think that's like, again, the best of like the like mischievous stuff that Harry can do when he's like getting people up at night and like eating. Like, that's great. That's perfect. But like something like this, I'd rather just like a sensible conversation from someone like Harry, who is a sensible man, I think. You know, just like Jackson. I couldn't tell you, obviously. I know how much you desperately tried to save Eliza. It was very sweet. She compared you to her dog. Again, kindred spirit. Someone like me understands that that's a good thing. But she was dragging you down. I want to work with you. There's a lot you could do to recover. And if he doesn't have a lot of other options, like I think it could go well. I think this decoy vote is not the way to maintain or create a new renewed relationship with Jackson in a way that's going to be like a long-term positive thing, which I want it to be. Because I think you're starting off on like a, you know, starting this phase of your relationship on a bad foot.
That all depends on whether or not Jackson's going to believe that he was on the outs with this vote. Because if we're saying that Eliza saw him as the golden retriever, then I don't see why Harry shouldn't see him that way either. For all we know, Jackson now has undying loyalty to Harry. So we'll see. To bring up the point that you talked about how Harry's one of the nicest people you know, and also one of the most normal people you know.
Yes.
The nicest, most normal people I know are the most cutthroat people when it comes to this game or these games, because I think playing the game for, you know, the glory and the I won, that doesn't matter all that much. So you want to have fun still. Being a guest on a show, you want to like, you love the show, you want to articulate the show to the best of your abilities. When you're out on the island though, like if you know the meme of the it's the dog sitting in the room that's on fire with the coffee and it just says, "This is fine."
It's my life.
If people can say this is fine in chaotic moments, they have such the upper hand on a show like this. And Harry is chilling. The man's eating ice cream saying this is fine while everyone around him burns. And I think that is a skill that, you know, if you know you have that skill set, you should use it. He doesn't need it. You've talked about how chill he is, how normal he is. He doesn't need that. But if he can turn that room into a chaotic room, he knows he's calm. It's the other people that are going to start squirming, and that's better for him. So I'm curious. I'm very curious if this works out, because I feel like otherwise it's looking like there's two other returnees that I feel very concerned for. He's one of them. And they're both in a very similar spot where it's like, you have been on the radar too early now. And can you shake it off and go underground again? Come on, let's be serious here.
No, I want to talk about that because I feel like there are connections here to what Mark did. And look, I really enjoy how much debate we can get in the first week of the show. And like, you know, being able to debate with Mike on the podcast, whether we were into Mark's move or not. And like some of the audience are debating it. And I love that. I feel pretty vindicated by the way that this has gone for Mark. Is it going to lead to his demise? I don't think so. I still think he has some control, and we can talk about it. I still think that kind of coalition against him has its holes. But I mean, it was really fun to see a fallout of a tribal council like that, or should I say a roundtable of how that went in that tribal council. But this had many concerns. And I feel like for Harry, like that's the thing. It's like, will Jackson believe it? Maybe he's the kind of person to just kind of accept things at face value. But like there are a lot of gaps who could inform him. And we saw this happen to Mark in the form of Blanche. which was so interesting because it was like, this was one of my issues actually with Mark getting up, was it made it really messy. You had to turn Tez away. I said, Blanche just didn't seem to get up. She's still on the Sally split. And they all come back from that so well. Sally, who voted for Johnson, they seem to make up. Blanche, who voted for Sally, is now like realizing for feeling, and I think accurately feeling like she's at the bottom and doing something about it. Even though they all voted for each other, their common enemy is wait, but we weren't included. And they actually all form up, despite the fact that should have sowed a lot of division. And Blanche is one who goes to Johnson and was like, you were the target. A lot of information is escaping through a very, very porous, massive majority. I think I've seen this film before. I think I'm seeing it on Bounty. That's my whole concern. And I feel incredibly vindicated about feeling like Mark was doing too much, apparently for even his allies, some of them, and for his enemies. What do you think about like the move that he pulled and how it's gone now?
Well, I do think that his name wasn't up there. It was a very heavy-handed move especially for me. He watched Kat's game. He knows the Kat tape. I feel like if I figured someone's game out, if I know how they're going to operate, I'm not going to push him out immediately. I don't need to do that. And I feel like,
but what do you know how she's going to operate? Like, did we think it was going to go this way? To be fair.
No, not really. I genuinely didn't expect Kat to treat this like the round table. I was very surprised by that. But I just think that, hard steering the ship right to get the vote out at tribal like that is not ideal. Also, when you're sending people back to their seats to finish business, like I don't like that approach either. I think it just it's a little too heavy-handed for not a lot of reward. Like your big get was getting Kat out the game. Kat already had other people looking at her. Like it didn't need to be this way this early. You could have also, because what was Kat's big thing? Kat wanted to go after Faith, right? And he didn't want that.
Yeah. Kat said Faith with Mark. Like Kat was clocking the power and actually mentioning it, and I see the concerns. But as you said, I think that's a great analogy that he's hard steering the ship, and I think it like capsized. Well, it could capsize. Like that. I think that's like. Everyone's nauseous on the cruise ship because we're like turning this thing around. Was the juice worth the squeeze? I didn't think so. And it's funny because now there are people against him who felt left out. And we could talk about if that could be a reasonable coalition. But also his allies possibly felt some type of way. Now, I noticed in the conversation with Keely and Faith was kind of trying to be like, no, but there are positives for us and like we'll have a shield. I think she was trying to like make Keely feel heard while still being a very close ally of Mark. I don't believe that she turned, and we were getting it in confessional from Keely, not from Faith. But Keely felt a little bit put on the spot because another concern I had with it was that they showed the hierarchy, or showed a hierarchy, and he stood up with Keely. He put them right underneath a giant spotlight. And while I think it's overthinking it a little bit and getting too far ahead of yourself to be like, we should turn on him, I wouldn't go that far, and I think Keely's maybe doing a bit too much. And certainly I think reading Faith wrong to take it to her. So there are mistakes, but I also definitely get why she feels poorly about it. Like, where is her agency in that situation? To be pulled up by an ally when she has an easy vote happening against Johnson and Ben, who have said her name. So again, like that was the one, like Faith and Mark were the ones in Kat's sights. Keely actually more was against the Johnson, well, not against, but like had been, we heard, brought up by Ben and that Johnson group. So now you're being pulled up and being like, you then have to pull up Brooke and Faith, do the dirty work and in public in front of everyone. I'd be like, where is my agency in this? When did I consent to this conversation? This isn't a pleasant alliance experience for me. And it's not how I see my game. Like maybe Mark is like, I'm a attorney, I'm already out in front, how long's a piece of string in for a penny kind of thing, which I don't agree with. I think that there are scales of these things. However, Keely is just, she wants to be like a silent assassin, right? Like she's just a person they just met. Now she's the person standing up and coordinating this vote. I kind of get why she would be put off by that.
Yeah, I think that wanting to be the silent assassin and then having to not only hear Mark a couple of times talk about how he wants to protect his allies, his people, like you're painting us together. You're doing it publicly. You're doing it unapologetically. And then you're making this move a spectacle, and it's the first tribal of the season. Like that to me raises a lot of alarm bells, because you know what happens when people associate two people together and they misassume or assume one person is the leader? They go like, well, we can't go for him. Let's go for a second best. And that's me. Now I'm in that spot. I don't like that for a number of reasons. And also, I feel like when you want to be the silent assassin, you would like for your closest ally to play a similar game to you, a worse game ish, right? Is your hope is they're worse than you, but they're similarly moving with you in the same patterns, because if you two are very close and working closely together, one of you can't keep jumping up and putting the target on you. You both got to hide. Everyone else around you, your other allies, they can be loud, they can be shields, but the two of you need to move in lockstep. And I feel like Mark did the complete opposite of that by completely grabbing the wheel and saying, nope, we're getting away from Johnson. We are going firmly onto Kat, which, not going to lie, Johnson was a good pick. Also, calling Johnson the Timu Habibi was nuts. That was so funny to me. I have not recovered from that read yet. That was amazing. But Johnson has proven to be also quite the schemer. While I do think Kat was someone who clocked him, I think Johnson's going to be a more vocal mouthpiece than Kat was. And not that Kat was like quiet and dormant. Kat definitely was trying to put some moves together. But then Kat was looking at Johnson also. So I don't know. I feel like Kat was being more messy. Kat was being more messy in the shadows, and I feel like you could have benefited from that, as opposed to Johnson, who honestly could form a counter alliance and also could go unnoticed for a little bit, genuinely.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Ferris reference and the traders and Big Brother. Episode 2 really was your episode, Pooya. We messed with the natural way of things by changing up the order, but now I'm like, well, Keely shouldn't turn on Mark just because of that. But I've kind of convinced myself, and we've convinced me that I'm like, maybe she should. They did one tribal council together. If she it's just like what you said about Lyndall and Eliza. I still think Lyndall needed Eliza, and Eliza was trying with Lyndall. And like the energy, if she's not picking up, like not loving that, that's unfortunate, but I think needed to use it. Compared to with Keely, if she's like, I don't want to spend the next 40 days doing this. Like, is this my ride or die? I think it's not too late to gift exchange this. Like, but the then concern for Keely that I have is like, don't go to Faith. Like, she's misreading that. I'm sure we haven't heard it from Faith, but I don't think that's right based on the relationships that we know. Like, but I think actually Keely would be within her right to go to Blanche and be like, here, doing a counter thing, with the people who hated that. I hated it. Can I be in this? I think she could jump ship on the capsized cruise that has happened here. Like, it's not too late. Like, the food has barely fallen on. It's like a 3-second rule for the Alliance. Like, we did one tribal council and it went poorly. Yeah. So I kind of think she could tap out. But
she could tap out.
Yeah.
If I'm her, what I would do is, okay, maybe my fault. Maybe Mark shouldn't be my end game plan, because if he's going to keep playing like this, that's not good for me. But as long as Mark thinks I'm with him, Mark is not going to put my name out, and he's going to continue to try and like do other people in, then that's fine by me. I can deal with that. I just have to keep distance and work on other relationships. And I think this is something that I always think about. I'm like, people talk about how like, I don't want to piss off this ally by like talking to other people. And all I can think is, if the other people are not allies with your person and you're not stabbing your person in the back, why would they punish you for it? If anything, you could sell this similarly to what Harry and Simon are doing. Yeah. Where we're just dividing and conquering. I'm keeping your name out of their mouths. I'm looking for your name. And then you let Mark do Mark stuff, and then you do you stuff. And then when the time comes to get rid of a Mark, or when the vote is overwhelming on Mark, you're no longer in a position where you're like, yeah, I was kind of not feeling the alliance with Mark anyway, but now I don't know where to go. You already have your plan, your second plan, your new move. You have that ready for the post-Mark era without Mark coming after you at any point. So I wouldn't push Mark out personally, is what I'm trying to say, if I'm her.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if a group wants to do it, I think they're going to be targeting and looking at that quickly.
Yeah.
But I think that she has room to deviate if that's something that she didn't like. I think that people are seeing what I don't like in an ally. Don't wake me up. Don't make me stand up when I'm sitting down. There's a lot of things. I mean, and you say that she and Mark should cover it. Like, yeah, because they just stood up in front of a group of people, the entire tribe, coordinating a vote that happened. And she was doing most of the like authentic heavy lifting. Like, Mark doesn't talk to Brooke. He gets to hide that. She talks to Brooke and Faith, and I get why she doesn't like that. So the group that's coming together against Mark, is there something viable here? So the group is Johnson's original group that is regrouped. Johnson, Ben, Sally, Blanche has come on board. She said Caleb. That's 5. She said Don. That's the 6. And I don't know why Don should be part of this, because they were just targeting Don, and Mark saved. Well, that group saved Don, and it was going to be Johnson. And he was like, not only just like really like desperately going after Don too much, as we've said, but also seemed to have like a lot of personal issues, well, that they might all have, but like with Don. So I don't know, and we haven't heard this from other people. We're hearing this a lot from Johnson. Blanche clearly seems in because she gave verifiable information. We haven't heard from Caleb. We haven't heard from Don, who might be a swing vote. How far Don has come. What a week for Don. But yeah, I don't know if the numbers are there, but it's not a great position for Mark. But I don't know if this coalition has legs.
I don't recall the last time I saw some player be so mad that they were trying to be roped into playing the game and moved away from their shelter duties. But Don somehow was that person. And here's the thing. I think that Don is... I think you should absolutely see Don as gettable, because sounds like as long as you let Don do Don stuff and not force him to play the game the way you think it should be played, Don is unproblematic for you. He's not going to be on your agenda. So picking him up as a vote is not bad, because also he can be the easiest collateral damage. If his name is out there, they push him out, whatever. Like, you can live with that. You can move on from that. I'm not going to lie. I was actually... Why should what?
Why should he go with Johnson, who has targeted him, over Mark, who has protected
because
him?
Looking at it from Don's POV, at the end of the day, as long as Johnson says, I was looking out for you, man. If I came on strongly, I'm sorry.
He wasn't. He voted for him.
He voted for him, but I was after he asked him to work with him. Listen, I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I think Don is going to be a logical player. He could literally be Johnson's final 2 from next episode, and I'd be like, well, that's just Don for you. I have no idea what to expect with Don. Again, the man was insulted that he was told to play the game and not do his shelter duties. So he is a different type of player.
Yeah.
Huh?
Well, I think he's a swing vote now. I think he's very important. Mark these numbers. Where his head's like...
Well, credit to him. He did vote correctly. He voted Cat. So I can't even make the joke of, he's going to vote. It's going to be like a tied vote. And then he's going to be the tiebreaker because he's the only one that didn't vote a person. But
yeah. No, I mean, he put his name up to be the decoy, which he should have been, and he voted correctly. It's more than Johnson can say. I just think that there's no connective tissue here, because they were actively working against each other. Like, Linda was working against Eliza, but Eliza was actually trying. There was a door open there. Here I just see like closed doors, but then I don't know where Tez is, and Healy might be out. So I don't know if the margins are as fine as I'm painting them. Like, I think that Mark went from in control and something that might have stayed at least a little bit stable to multiple different people saying his name and being concerned about him as a possibility now. It's concerning.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm not gonna, again, I don't see Don being long for this world. So we'll see.
Oh, I do. Don's gonna reach a point of no return where he's a 0 vote finalist. And it's not that far away. It's not that it's a couple of weeks away, but like then he's here for the 45 days. That. And then he's never being voted out. Oh, he's good at the challenges.
He's on Mike Bloom's team, so he's not long for this world.
Oh, he's on Mike's team as well?
Yes.
Oh, he's probably next.
Mike's team, there's not a lot of people left on Mike's team.
No.
That are like, Mike is in a very peculiar situation with the team.
Well, he has Simon, Asha, and Dawn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's not great. Simon's his best shot.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, how cool was the fact that Simon got a mug with his cookie idol on it? That was phenomenal.
I thought you were gonna say, how cool is it that they had hate comments from the Survivor Reddit on...
Why would I say that? Oh, but those were fake, right? Like, they didn't seem real.
What? Why didn't they seem real? They weren't mean enough.
No, because I guess it's stupid of me to think that they would have like the receipts on it.
Oh no,
So
they searched Simon in the Australian Survivor Reddit, and then they put
mhm.
that in the show.
I don't know. I like this. I like this. This was fun. This was a fun. The editing has been very fun this season, I will say.
Yeah. I thought, I mean, and the challenges were fun. I think the challenges have been fun all week. I thought that the really close challenge that Dave did really well on that. It was like a very intense immunity challenge. How have you felt about Dave as host?
I've not minded it. It's been fine. I am not loving the narration, the recap narration. It's very movie trailer guy. It sounds like I can picture David putting it on. But aside from that, like it's been fine. I think for me, the last thing I'm gonna do is hold smoke for somebody who was given a job. It's not like he worked overtime to kick JLP out of that spot. He was given the job, and like for someone who was given the job, who probably knows how big the shoes and expectations are, I think he's doing a good job. I was actually having this one moment, I had like out of body moment where I was like, oh my God, how is he coming up with these questions on the spot? Because with the JLP or with the Jeff Probst, you're like, it's just second nature to you. I'm like, how does David go from being a player to now cooking up the questions? Because it's not a script. I don't think you can follow
I think it
like
is a
a clean
script.
script. You think some of the casual mat chat is scripted?
I
Like
think he
he's
has
or
jumping
like,
off points. Yeah, and I think he has an earpiece.
oh, okay, well, never mind. I'm not gonna give him too
And I
much
think
credit.
JLP. But well, the thing, I mean, the thing that's the most live, Tribal Council is like a dance, but I still think that it's within confines that have been like heavily, you know, discussed before, probably with an earpiece. And then the challenge
Mhm.
stuff is hard. And that's like genuine commentating. Like that's like in the moment. Even you can't set that up before. And even if you do have an earpiece, like you just got to be there in the moment, like with them. I think that's probably the
Yeah,
toughest thing to do. I thought this was good.
yeah.
Should we get to the chili?
Shall we? Yeah, let's do it.
Take it away, Jacob Sager Weinstein and MC Color.
1, 2, 3. 1, 1, 1, 3, 1, 1, 3, 1, 1, 3. It's getting kind of chizzy. 3, 2, 1.
I feel like we're at very different points, and I also like really struggled,
Okay.
because clearly I'm
Can I
like
ask
pretty
you
critical.
something?
Yeah,
Do you have the tally of the last two episodes for
I
me?
don't. I'm not gonna lie to you.
That's
Why
fine.
do you want
That's no worries.
to?
I was curious. I was curious where the lads went with this.
Yeah, Mike gave Mark, Brooke, and Keely.
Okay.
I recorded the Chappelle podcast so long ago. I don't remember what happened in that episode.
That's fine. It's not a big deal. Why
Um,
are you struggling with your picks for this episode?
because the main people did so much I disagreed with. Like Lyndall does get it off Loz, and she does get it on Eliza, but I don't think she should have. And I think the read is
And she
wrong.
got her idol.
And she got the idol, but that was so messy. Like that's the whole point. Like there's nothing that's
I
just
mean,
like
it was
yeah,
messy, but it was
it's done.
undetected.
It's done. Yeah. They've traded more idols than I have. Can't really criticize it, but it's more I just like I can't come in and be like your read was wrong the entire time. Not all. I just like I don't know that that's how I would have gone with it. I don't know that she's seeing her place the best. So I don't want to get to Lyndall. Harry is driving the bus, but I'm disagreeing with the decoy vote. I think he's putting himself out there too much. I feel like I can't give to Harry. Kind of
Mhm.
leaves you with slim pickings. Like I really struggled. I mean, I'm happy to hear yours first, and I'm happy. Like I could be persuaded because I didn't even want to give anyone 1 point, let alone like 3 points. I really struggled here.
It's tough. I can't give Harry points simply because I don't know how his vote's going to be taken. It's very well could be a slam dunk, and it very well could be worthy of a 3-point play here. But because I don't have enough data, I'm not going to go that direction. I kind of feel like, again, I know it was sloppy. I know, but they got that idol swap off without anyone seeing them, and they had no business both leaving with an idol clean. Granted, I also do like that both of them have an ally that knows about the idol also. I think that's been very fun as well.
Yeah, but I feel like I personally have already given points for like that having happened.
You've already done
And this
that,
was
so
just
that's
like the
fair.
final. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I need to see. I have two in mind. I have both Lyndall and Brooke in mind. I'm looking for a third here. Who would be my third recipient? of something here. And I feel like, okay, you might not agree with this. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and say you're not going to agree with this. I'm
I
going
don't
to
agree
give
with
Simon.
anything. I don't.
I'm going to give Simon a
Oh,
point as well. Yeah.
Okay. Explain it to me.
Okay.
I'm willing to hear out anything. I am confused.
So Lyndall gets my 3, Brooke gets my 2. We down to Simon gets my 1. 2 reasons. 1, and it's not really a credit to him. The mug was funny. I like the mug. That was great. That was a great moment.
It's not a credit
The
to him at all. He was
audacity,
given a mug. So.
right? No, but the audacity to them bring the mug to the challenge and then be like, "Oops, I forgot. It's love from home." Shady and petty.
Shades
I
and
did like that.
Michaela with the yeah.
But at least Michaela's mug didn't have her face on it. Like this is
a
like
literal
me.
mug.
Yeah, this would be the equivalent of like Rob walking around with like a signed photo of himself and his magic 8-ball and being like, "I was the best to never win."
Well, you haven't
It's
seen
good to
reality
remind me.
contestants do that at parties?
On the rare occasion I have, I've been like, you are being very bold.
Oh,
in
I'm not
doing
speaking
so.
highly, but I've certainly
Yeah.
seen it. Not the magic
But
8-ball.
I like it from Simon because, again, I think that the one thing I will give Simon, of the 4 returnees, Simon is a big boy who continuously, time and time again, is able to minimize the threat level. And to me, this is just him being silly. And I think it helps. I think obviously being there with Harry is not a bad shout either to make your target seem tiny. But I think that moments like this are disarming. They're charming. Like, these are fine. Some people could do this, and there's going to be hours of confessionals of people being like, "I can't believe he did that. That's so bullshit. I can't wait till we get our chance to get him out." You know, Simon's not getting confessionals of that level. They're just like, "Oh, Simon, you cheeky bastard." Like, that's really all it's going to be. And I think that's a great spot for him to be in, 3 votes deep, 3 cycles deep. I think it's a good spot. So I'm going to give him the 1 for that. And you know me, I love my coffee, so I'm always going to be pro mug. So.
Well, that's not what the Chizzy's for. And obviously when I'm gone, hopefully Mike will enforce that's not a thing.
You're giving the keys to the dummies. We're about to ruin the Chizzy points.
No, Mike promised me that he won't.
To someone who left week 1. Who knows next week?
Well, week 2, I'm hoping to do a lot of week 2 as well. Okay.
Oh,
so that's...
yeah, we will be together for week 2. Week 3, I might give someone to
yeah, we're gonna be together very soon for week 2. But all right. I hear it. It doesn't really affect my points, but like mug stuff aside, sure. I'm giving 3 points to Paula. I feel like she's got a lot of Harry's positioning. We haven't even spoken about that relationship. Daniel said that he felt like,
I have to look up who Paula is. Is this rude?
She's the croupier. She's one eating the papaya with Harry. She's Harry's right-hand man.
Yes. Okay. Yes. It's all coming back to me.
Yeah. A lot of fruit content for Paula with the papaya. She gave the banana to Caleb. And I feel like she's being subtle and she has Harry as a shield while still having a lot of that positioning. So it's like, I didn't want to give it to Harry. It's like, who's doing things similar to Harry, but behind him? Hey, is that Paula? Because she's kind of short. So I feel like you can't really see her behind her. But she's there. And I'm giving her 3 points, which is crazy. I found this week incredibly difficult, as you'll see. I'll give 2 points to Lottie. I gave her 3 points in the first episode, and it actually went worse than I thought it was going to, because then she still had some heat on her.
I like Lottie for the pick.
Yeah, she has a coalition. She apparently has Cameron and Asha. And it's mainly because Harry can't get her and he wants to. That's dirty Harry. Okay, he's gone toe-to-toe with the best. And Lottie is an admirable opponent.
Adversary.
Sure, yeah. And she's very well insulated. That has to speak to social capital. Look at how quickly they're willing to dump someone like Eliza. No offense, Eliza, we love you. But with Lottie, he's desperate to get her out, and he can't because she's just so protected. She also can't get him out, which is a credit to Harry. But I feel like Lottie is, she's well protected right now. So I'm giving her 2 points. 1 point. This was the one I felt the best about, but I couldn't give him more than 1. 1 point to Blanche.
Okay.
1 point to Blanche. Yes, because Blanche should flip from this Mark group that she's at the bottom of. She doesn't even stand up. She's not even informed of the vote. She gives verifiable information. She's trying to make something happen. And I said, don't be super active, you'll play yourself out of the game. No, her position necessitates it. She's gone far enough behind. I like her taking the game into her own hands, actually giving information, creating this group that could actually do something against Mark because there's enough heat on him. And no notes. Like, I don't know if it was more than 1 point. I mean, she doesn't go to tribal council. We don't know if it'll pan out. But I like that she tried. And I think that was the right instinct. So I gave her a point. And those are my very random cheesy points. This episode was quite difficult for me. But Pooya, we'll be back together very, very soon for week 2, hopefully. We continue to change the order. So for week 2, Pooya and I, for the next thing you hear, are going to do episode 4. And then me and Chappelle are going to do episode 5. And then Mike is going to do episode 6 with a guest. That's that week. And then Mike's going to be rolling it forward at that point with Chappelle, Pooya, and a guest every week, just on the episodic recaps. There's no like feedback show. We're doing the 3 episodic recaps a week, or they're doing the 3 episodic recaps a week. We'll also have X interviews, which are coming out in 1 weekly podcast. So I actually spoke to Daniel already. Really fun chat. Kat, really, really fun chat as well. She was so funny. I appreciated her humility, and she was like, I don't know what happened. Like, she was having as much fun with it as I feel like we did. So that was great. And then I will also speak to Eliza, and that'll be out very soon as well. So keep an eye on that. We Know Global Survivor feed at Shannon Gates. Follow all of us, all the content, so you don't miss it. Pooya, where can people find what you're doing?
On socials at Pooyaism, twitch.tv/Pooya for the streaming content. As far as podcasts go, though, as we've talked about and highlighted on this pod, I am talking the Traders. The US season is in its finale week. So by the time you hear this, well, you either would have heard it early morning. Finale's today, not today, the next day. It's this week, okay? It's this week, and we've got that. We've got the reunion. I've got a couple of interviews lined up for that also. So there's a lot going on there still. Make sure you're tuned in for that. I'm talking 90 Day Fiance on the 90 Day feed, so check that out. And then me and Liana talk every week over on the Pooya and Liana Lounge. You can make sure you find that podcast as well.
Yeah, it's a hectic couple of weeks of Australian Survivor between Traders and Survivor 50 and the baby. We are juggling it to get all the content out to you. Thank you to everyone who has listened. Thank you to our team behind the scenes. Thank you to you, Pooya, and I will see you on the next recap. Bye.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.